Hey folks, thanks for joining me today. This is another one of my audio only podcast episodes. I spoke with Drew Landry. He's an artist who was from Louisiana and he went on to a lot of different types of activism and has combined both of that with quite a bit in his career. He's up there in Montana, involved with a community college over there, and really neat stuff. Good discussion. A few minutes into it, and I'm going to let you know. Drew was like really on the road. This is one of those podcast episodes, and this is why we don't have video, because he was basically shooting his forehead most of the time, and he was really, really on the road. And also, there's a point where I think he went to the mic on his SUV or minivan or whatever he was driving. So you'll hear that change so many minutes, and I'll let you know about that. And just had a lot of fun. This is a really interesting conversation. Now we're going to be into winter pretty soon. This is fall time, and weather's changing. Fired up the furnace not too long ago when I recorded this, so that was a little bit dicey. I don't know how you always feel when you fire up the furnace at first. But, you know, it always gives off that smell. So I always have the fire extinguisher ready. I know that's completely paranoid, but always have to be ready for that kind of thing. I don't need the fire department visiting over here. But yeah, really enjoyed talking with Drew Landry. And so here it goes. Hey, how you doing this morning?
Doing great, man. I'm sorry. I'm driving from Louisiana back to Montana, and I just met my lady and my daughter in Bozeman. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah, it's just been not much sleep, and
Beautiful out there in Montana.
yeah, it's really nice this time of year before the winter gets too cold, and it's a great place to be, man. It's pretty awesome. So, what do you want to talk about, man?
Yeah, just about your latest release, everything you're doing touring wise, and you're also into a lot of activism, which is really cool. I love when people mix activism with music. I was just watching this podcast with Roger Waters, which is just a lot of fun to listen to. Just God, what a smart guy.
Well, I think I'm just getting where I can play music again, and you know, I know it's part of what I do, and it's a tool that allows me to help other people and tell a story really quickly, and also connect to a cause rather quickly. You can talk to your blue in the face about an issue, but if you write a song about an issue that moves people, and then if you're able to put like a short video together, then it's even more effective, in my opinion. So, I mean, I guess in any propaganda campaign, you're trying to win hearts and minds, but I think just trying to tell the truth and address some things that need to be addressed has always been the power of music. So whether it was like Woody Guthrie or Pete Seeger or whatever, that's a history of American folk music.
It really is. It's really cool that people can mix that together, and Pete Seeger was just like completely amazing at that, and just really, and it's a way to draw more people into it. So your big issue is working with missing and murdered reservations.
I guess when I started with this stuff, I was trying to help commercial fishermen after the BP spill, and basically they're the sacrifice for not only the oil spill, but after it's all said and done, because instead of cleaning oil, BP decided to spray a dispersant that makes oil 50 times as toxic. And then just because it was prohibitively expensive to clean it up. And then they sprayed a lot of guys that were cleaning the mess. So a lot of people got sick and developed different illnesses. Yeah. So anyway, I signed a deal with Warner to try to do something about that. And
yeah, that was about that the oil spill in the Gulf, which is going back to like 2010. I remember that.
Yeah, so I signed a deal, and it was supposed to, we gave a little money to a nonprofit. I made a nominal amount of money, but I thought getting the word out about what was going on would make a difference. And instead, within a year, the dude that has the Russian branch of BP ended up buying Warner. So it was like I was in witness protection instead of trying to put a single out. So, and once they capped the well, nobody cared about the people that got sick cleaning the spill. And I guess that, as humans and Americans or whatever, you think that if the world knows the truth about something, then in turn they'll do something about it. But those are not mutually exclusive. So, and then there's always the next issue, the next problem, whatever. And so I got a 3-year-old daughter.
Oh, what a great age. They're so innocent.
She's Cajun Blackfoot, and we live on a reservation. So I started going to the college there, and there was a student that went missing, a former student. We kind of helped her sister look for her and all this stuff. And I guess, through that, she continued to fight for justice for her sister, but she was speaking with, elected officials, and finally some money came around. We had built a website and data. We eventually built a database and a reporting portal that kind of functions like a phone app. But at the time, we just built a little website demanding justice and did a petition that got 50,000 signatures. And so, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, Montana Department of Justice put out this little grant, and it was, I think, $25K to rebuild that website, build a reporting portal, and then a database for missing persons from tribal nations. Now, we don't get as many as we've basically forwarded them to law enforcement, and the job on each reservation of your community liaison is to work with families that may not trust law enforcement, especially law enforcement on Indian nations. And I think we've done a good job. 3 out of the last 5 cases, we basically stayed in contact with families while they went to major cities and were able to locate their loved ones. And sometimes they just, you just want somebody to walk you through that process. So if I have a missing loved one and I'm on a reservation in northern Montana, but they're missing in a big city, what we'll do is make sure that the copy of the report they sent to us goes to that law enforcement agency, and that they did fill that properly, and that dispatch is working that case, wherever that might be. And then from there, they may go to a city to try to locate the loved one. So, those cases recently or this summer have been basically family members that went missing in big cities, and they were in homeless. They were in homeless camps and stuff like that. And there's some other things that are real tragic, and a lot of it goes back to addiction, and a lot of it deal with. But I think we're making a difference, So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're the total liaison between the families and these the authorities. So yeah, that's really important. So yeah, do you have an estimate how many that you've helped, or is it just are you in a ballpark figure on that?
There've probably been 15 cases over the last year and a half, something like that. It's not a whole lot, but we just got all the tribes in Montana on board. Once we get that functioning properly, I think we can scale this up around the nation. But it's doing what you do efficiently first before you try to save the world. You got to be able to, save yourself, Reverend. So that's what's happening, man.
Yeah, that's what it takes. I mean, but one is better than 0. So it's you don't have to have huge numbers. You're just starting out. And here is where Drew gets into the car and switches audio. Boosted this as much as I could.
Well, we always said if we save one life or help somebody find one loved one, and we've done our job. So there's a lady that she went out, found her nephew, and then she helped another family find their loved one. And so, but it's just the beginning when you find somebody and they are dealing with addiction issues or mental issues or whatever. I mean, there's a whole other thing about trying to get people rehabilitated, and also individuals making a choice to live a sober life. You have no control over that, So, and it's not just a problem on tribal nations, but any 4 communities. So hopefully what we're doing is making a difference. I'm excited about it, and building that team, and then also recording again, getting out playing music. And then I got a little gig tonight in Whitefish, and we're able to play a pretty decent festival, River City Roots, this summer.
Cool.
And the album will be out early next year, and I hope that I can at least get on the festival circuit next summer and all that. But at the end of the day, man, number one job is taking care of this little girl in the back seat, and I'm not
my day job to play music, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's just, figuring out how to do things and make time for things. So I just got back from Nashville in the Americana conference, recording another album to be ready after this one. Just trying to figure out, how do you get music out today? It's a different world post-COVID. It's a different world without CDs. I guess people buy vinyl, but I'm not buying a bunch of vinyls and dumping my back in my trunk before I go to a show. I don't think that works for me. So just figuring it out, man. How do your songs make the biggest difference?
Yeah. Yeah. What's your writing process like? When do you find time to write when you're doing all this activism and you're dealing with the college and you've got a family?
Man, I'm an unsafe driver. I write while I drive. I wrote a couple songs on the way home. I think that's where I think when you're busy with something else, that's when the subconscious kind of gets worked. I went to a gentleman named Ian Moore put on a songwriter camp, so I went to that 3 weeks ago in Texas, and I am making time for it, but you can't stop those songs coming when they come. So I don't know. Guy Clark said one time, "Don't catch that thought while it's floating through the air. You lose it forever." And Christopherson always said that if you don't complete your thought, or at least write down the gist of your song, it won't come back the same way either. So sometimes you stop what you're doing and you write it down. You might hear the medley, you might hear the words, but you just get that thought down, and the little voice recorder on my phone does a pretty good job.
Yeah, right. You got to be a safe driver, and you could just dictate things now into your phones, into technology, so that kind of keeps you a little safer. And if you need to pull over and basically get a thought down, at least or a melody, which is really nice, you could just basically record that quickly.
I got some long drives in Montana, and then even to play a gig here, you're driving at least an hour in any direction. So, but it's beautiful, man, and I like that there's not too many people here yet, except for in the city of Bozeman and Missoula.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Bozeman is a market unto itself, but people have got to congregate and live there. So, how much have you recorded in your entire musical career now? Have you recorded a lot of albums and a lot of singles?
Yeah, and there's a bunch of stuff that just never got out. I think I have 3 on iTunes. So Keep What's Left, the first one we did, and then I was planning a big album, but these hurricanes hit, and then that was the Tailgate and Relief CD that we put out after Katrina and Rita. And then Sharecropper's Line, man, that one charted in Europe. First one where I got all my heroes to play on it. So Great Sly Guitar Man, Michael Juan Nunez, Richard Como on steel, some incredible players, and I think that brought a little more depth to what I do. And then, I recorded another one I never got to put out right before that wreck. Did a single on Warner. Sure, I got a bunch of little terrible recordings everywhere from live shows, but the one we're working on now is called Exile. That'll be out early next year, and we're just getting the mixes and the masters worked out, and I'm working with some great people, buddy of mine, Ken, and another gentleman named Tony Daigle is helping with it. He's a Grammy dude, but it's the players, and the fact that during COVID, I was able to get, people that I really admire that weren't touring. And so, some of my heroes that I got to work with, we also got Dr. John and Bobby Charles. Bobby Charles is arguably the best songwriter ever come out of Louisiana. And I did work with Dr. John on an environmental album that we hope to get out. He's singing a lot of Bobby's songs.
Yeah.
But on this particular album, I do a Bobby Charles cover. I do a Dr. John, Mac Rebenak cover. I think there's 4 covers, 2 co-writes, and 4 other ones. And I don't usually do that, but this was kind of paying homage to the dude that inspired me, man. During that old field, Dr. John and I, we tried to write these anthems like they did back in the day. But after we got all that recorded, there was no label to help out. Nobody was interested in putting themselves on the wrong side of a political argument. And I don't think that labels are really supportive of artists, standing up for anything anymore. They're just worried about cash.
Yeah, very sad. And now we're back to normal. You're going to hear that right now. So what was Dr. John like? How much did you do with Dr. John?
Yeah, Mac is great, man. He was at that point, he was just probably the most supportive. Anyway, I mean, basically, I just go to his house during the spill, and I was documenting. I was working on a documentary about the long-term health effects of the spill, and I'd go anytime I was in New Orleans and he wasn't on tour, and we'd start writing. And so he had all these songs that Bobby had done, because Bobby had this idea called Solution to Pollution, where it was going to be 3-4 lesson plans with songs for kids, where it was about, one was called Clean Water, the other one was Environmental Harmony, another one called Solution to Pollution. And anyway, it was a little curricula for kids where they could start caring about the planet before, while they were young, and really thinking a little bit differently. And so anyway, we recorded those, and I had written one that Mac really liked, and he recorded mine. And we had a bunch of great musicians going volunteering. So it just, the whole thing kind of, once they capped the well, and I guess BP convinced the world that everything was good and clean, then nobody cared about that anymore. And so I think now with everything going on, maybe people be more receptive, and probably people are more receptive when there's a Democrat in office, but it really shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
You know,
it's an issue.
I mean, our
environment. Yeah.
Our energy policy and our foreign policy should not be as schizophrenic as it is, or bipolar every time there's a different administration, but it is. And that's just something that we just go for the lesser of two evils, and we end up right back where we were. So.
Yeah, people like to pick teams, and they like simple, easy labels, and they want to have their information processed for them. And that's the really scary part about a lot of this. But,
yeah, I mean, right now, look, man, we shouldn't be digging holes where, in sacred places or places aren't messed up, but we also shouldn't be enabling Russia financially by buying oil from them. And it's, I think there's some point where we went from energy independence to, we tried energy dominance, and it's always a fight with OPEC and, all that stuff. It's just multinational corporations that are, really controlling all these things, man. There's no reason gas should be more expensive right now. A damn hurricane didn't hit any refineries,
Right. It was just OPEC that decides, hey, we're going to cut production now. So then that, basically it's a domino effect all around the world. It's, you can't change that. So it's OPEC holding the cards. The whole system really needs to be changed.
Well, so, COVID brought some other things to light with the job that I have at the college as an extension agent for USDA. And so we work on a grant. I think we'll probably get it, do like a mobile meat processing unit that can go straight to producers and, help them with that, because, nobody's getting more for cattle than they were 15 years ago, but meat's more expensive. And across the board, they just set up these artificial bottlenecks that just passed on a consumer to where you can't afford to build a house or go to the grocery store or do anything. And I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's just goofy, man. I just don't understand how, as Americans, we can accept either Trump or Biden right now. I mean, I have no use for any geriatric person running this country, and it's either we either get this con man or we get a dude who can't string a paragraph together. And I just don't understand why we can't do better across the board. Got no idea about that one.
Yeah, it's sometimes you feel like, oh, this isn't really truly a democracy. It's people who are getting completely bought off by, lobbyists. They basically control the whole system, and those with that power and that money, that's how you end up with whoever's in office, or even the candidates you get. So there's not the common person who's a candidate who could end up, bringing power really truly back to the people. It's a tough situation.
Sure. So anyway, man, I don't sound like I'm a pessimist or I'm complaining about these things, but the truth is I do see a lot of hope. I see a lot of hope with the programs we put together, with tribal nations in Montana. See a lot of hope with young people that don't share the same, hopelessness as the generations before,
Right. Yeah. And acting
and
locally, that's the thing.
yeah, you got to believe that there isn't, that things will get better. But you're right. If something doesn't change within our system of government, it's going to be the same thing over and over. Because
Yeah.
with our system, even the criminal justice system, I mean, it's not about punishment. All it is about compensation. And you could pay people billions of dollars. Think about the people that got sick from the oil spill. But what is somebody's life worth? You can't repay somebody for,
Yeah, and the kind of
taking
people
their life.
who work on those rigs. I mean, I'm sure they're offered very good money, and there's no other opportunity. So you go out there and you work hard, and of course you're going to believe in your mission and your work, but it's really the corporation that's just like making handsome profits.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no doubt. But I mean, I think that's all true. Yes, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. Yeah.
I think at the same time, there has to be some kind of motivation to do better as an individual, and if we don't have, I don't know. It's just a crazy time, man, and I think people have more opportunities than they ever have had with technology. Even, I'm hopeful about getting this album out.
Yeah.
I think if people want jobs right now, there's a ton of them out there. And I think that employers are willing to work with folks too. But but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it's all by design, man. I mean, you turn on, CNN or Fox, and you're just watching two sides of an argument, and they're not giving you any news. They're telling you how to think. So it just gets old,
Yeah, I
just
think the big thing is, there's no solutions. We're not seeing enough solutions, and people like you who are getting out there, you're rolling your sleeves up, getting involved, doing these things. If you had more of that, and a lot of us knew more about that, it could inspire more people to get out there and just let's just do it. Just do it. Get out there, and if you don't like something, then just roll the sleeves up and get involved and take the steps you need to do. And you're doing that with your activism and your music.
Yeah, I think, and the other part of it is people would rather just blame other folks for their problems and not even try to fix it. It's easier for there to be a bad guy or a scapegoat. So,
sure.
Yeah, man. So, if there's any songs you want to play during this podcast, I think "Last Man Standing" is one I wrote.
Yeah, that's off your. Is that off
years
of
ago?
Keep What's Left?
Nothing's really changed since then.
Yeah,
maybe I'll send you one of the new ones. But I'm just happy to have an opportunity play music again. Almost, the whole BP film and oil spill deal ended when I hit an 18-wheeler head on the way to Grand Isle, and I had to hit reset and come up here. So I'm feeling like I'm finally back to where I was with a new album. And also, when you're developing curricula and you're not just talking about sustainability, but you're actually building programs that can do that, like regenerative grazing and taking kids out to Glacier Park and creating opportunities for sober living in places that's not always easy. Then maybe even if it's just taking a kid that doesn't have two parents hunting with you, that's something, man.
Yeah, that is. So going way back, you grew up in Scott, Louisiana?
I grew up in Baton Rouge, but I ended up, my grandma lived in Scott, and my parents were both from the Lafayette area, Southwest. And I was always over there. I mean, we were there half the time anyway, But I grew up in Baton Rouge, and then I finished high school at Acadiana High. And went to college it was USL then. And I didn't know what I'd do. And I managed some bars, and then I kind of started running my own. And that's when I kind of found folk music. That Oh Brother had just come out, and there were several country bands that are kind of redoing old stuff. And I traced it back to like Leadbelly and Jimmy Rogers and Woody Guthrie. And then, because I was a big fan of early rap and classic country, which is kind of weird. But I just started writing songs when I had this little bar, and then my first album was just winging it. And I think that I've gotten better as a storyteller, and I do some documentary stuff. So it's fun to figure out how to tell other stories and whatnot. But, you know, I don't know. As far as activism goes, I'm not just complaining anymore. I'm trying to do something about things. And, you know, there's a lot of people that can point out obvious issues and injustices, but unless you're looking to actually change something, or at least make it functional, I think you're just sometimes making it worse. You know?
Right. Yeah, you're just trying to make a difference, and being up there and making awareness and getting people when they're young, before they're the future. It's like, that's really important, that they learn good values and respect the environment.
Yeah, and I think part of it is after the whole, the place I grew up hunting, fishing, we're losing land like crazy. They don't even let you fish in some places anymore. It's expensive, some of those old leases and stuff. And I don't know, it's just easier to connect to the land here and hunt on public land. And I mean, Montana's, I shouldn't even say how great it is, because some 20 other people are going to move here, but it's been really kind to me. And being a father and being able to teach my daughter not only about Cajun culture, but learning about Blackfoot culture and even spirituality, it's been really cool, man.
Yeah, Blackfeet Reservation College. That sounds like a really nice place. Yeah,
Blackfeet Community College. We have our moments, I guess. So
that's
anyway.
Really awesome. Yeah.
Got any other questions for me?
Oh yeah, always. Just curious about your roots and being from Louisiana and everything like that. How did you pick up on music? Did you start very young learning music, or did you pick that up?
I don't think I wrote a song until I always loved music and I sing along and stuff. It was probably 25 when I wrote my first song, something like that. And I'd already finished college. Went to college on the GI Bill, did some time National Guard. That's how I paid for it. And,
cool.
Luckily that was between both Gulf Wars, and I didn't have to go and go to war for a freaking lie.
Yeah, which you could have ended up doing. Yeah, that's true. That's true. A lot of kids around my age, the first Gulf War, but the second one was even more. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. When Colin Powell went out there and just straight up lied, and whatever money disappeared the day after 9/11, all that, it's just like, I don't even like, it's just like, yeah, obviously there's a lot more to that story, but
there is.
The point is there are things you can change, and it's bettering yourself. It's taking a little time to be in nature and feel connected to the earth. And it's just, for me, it's, writing a new song or I've been enjoying co-writing lately. That's been a fun thing,
That's really cool. Yeah, you got a lot of good tracks out there. Now, are you the author of Chicken Pot Pie, or am I thinking of somebody else there?
Yeah, that's it. I just random crap about that was the last one we did on that first record, and I think it's just 2 chords, and it was about that time I was working in the Atchafalaya Basin for a gentleman named Greg Gerard, and he did a lot of great things, but we were pulling sinking cypress and milling it before all these freaking movies came up on about that, all these reality shows. Oh, yeah. And he's a commercial crawfish fisherman and photographer that written a bunch of books about the last people that lived in the Atchafalaya Basin. And so anyway, that's just about being on the levee, and I had some talented, crazy dudes singing background vocals, and yeah, it's kind of like a trippy little song about the levee.
Yeah, good guitar work there. Were you self-taught, and banjo as well, maybe?
No, that was a dude that never played banjo, and I was just kind of putting a lot of reverb on backup vocals, and a dude named Steve Stubblefield, who was in a band called Stallings, Tennessee, that basically recorded that whole album for a couple $100. And that was the first one. And we just had a little space to do it, and everybody helped out. And even the I don't know, that's just where we started. So yeah, I could see that being on some kind of soundtrack or for inbreeding or something. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, could totally be repurposed for that. That's really, really fun. Something that seemed a little bit more personal is a corner store. That's seems to be like, pretty personal to you in a certain way.
Yeah, everybody's down at Walmart, huh?
Yeah, well, how true it is. Just to save an extra
Papa
dollar,
had to close a corner store. Yeah, I think that was about the time where a lot of these little mom and pop restaurants were shutting down, and the commercial crawfishermen in the basin couldn't really pass that on to their kids because there wasn't enough oxygen in the water because all these levees at the oil companies, pipeline canals that they built. So, just kind of like what made us unique was all these little restaurants and all these little stores and whatever it was in small towns. And then, Walmart kind of put everybody out of business. And then as soon as they're out of business, they raise their prices. So, I don't know. There's still some cool things, but
that Louisiana crawfish, there's nothing like that. That food down there is just, one of a kind. Nobody does it any better. It's really, really good. You cannot go hungry.
Yeah, man, that's some great people, man. I was just come from home, and so I went to Nashville in Louisiana, and I went and hung out with some of my heroes, and unfortunately, a lot of them are dead. Like Dewey Potan, he was 80-something years old. He went hunting a couple of days before he died. Greg, he was still out there fighting for the rights of commercial fishermen in the Chaffalot Basin. And there's still people doing it, man. Don't get me wrong, but I guess I'm just at a time where I know it's time for me to step up, and whether or not people like what I do or like me, that's not even my business. I just got to go out there and do what I do to the best of my ability and try to enjoy it, because life's pretty short when you get close to the end,
It's so true. And, you got to do what you feel is right. And did you testify at the Louisiana State Capitol?
No, that was in New Orleans. They had an oil spill committee. And I guess at that time, I didn't realize those were a lot of environmentalists that had worked their whole life. And I thought I was just talking to people that can make a difference. But, I got to sing my song for those people. And I did it because I think I went in there with a backpack, and then they wouldn't let me in the meeting. So I was like, I'll bring my guitar back, play this song. And then that thing went viral. It led to the record deal for that single. And in fact, I just spoke with the lady that signed me with Warner, and she's now one of the higher ups, and she liked my new stuff. And
cool.
I think everybody wanted that song to make a difference for the Gulf, but we were fighting a multinational company trying to tell the world that everything was clean and safe and go back to eating the seafood and go back to life as normal, when it had completely changed life for a lot of people, especially the people that got sick because of all the crap they sprayed in the Gulf. So I don't know, man. They're fond memories, but I can never feel like I won anything. I'll feel like I failed those people, because I'd taken. I was one of the persons that was supposed to be the dude telling that story, and I couldn't find a platform to do it. I couldn't find a way to just tell the truth about that, and so did the best we could. I think we led to at least them setting up a system of which people could file health claims, but they didn't settle any of those claims, man. They let those people die.
Yeah, there's only so much you could do because they got so much power. But you're trying to fight the good fight, and that's you do the best you can.
Yeah, sometimes you get your ass kicked, and that's all right too. So
that's true. That's true. So you once served as a roadie as well?
I roadied for a couple folks. Yeah, my buddy Scott Byron was opening up a tour for Hank 3, and I did all kind of crap, and I just finally in a spot where I can get my music out again. So
yeah. I know you shared the stage with some very interesting people. Billy Joe Shaver, that's gonna be interesting. I remember David Allan Coe very well from many years ago.
Everybody's favorite racist, huh?
My gosh. I heard that. I was like, whoa, that's pretty shocking stuff.
Yeah, he was all right. I mean, David Allan Coe, he wrote some of the greatest songs and did some stuff. I like old country, man. I do like old country. And no, man, I mean, just to open up for David Allan Coe or Johnny Winter, or, you know, get to hang out a little bit with Billy Joe Shaver, or, you know, we played a festival with Merle Haggard, and I knew his little fiddle player. Yeah, man, those guys did it, man. They did it. And I'm hoping to do it, you know, but I don't know, man. There's a lot of people. Charlie Louvin was a friend of mine, and, you know, him and his brother were great. And they had their time up in Nashville. So if I'm blessed enough to get my time and people like this new record, awesome. If I make a little difference for people in my community, great. But I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna keep writing songs.
Yeah.
Go out and play music when I get an opportunity. And I'm not gonna worry about anything else, because it's a waste of time.
Oh, so true. So true. So hopefully more touring out there. Where can we get your music? Do you have your own website and places where we can order?
I think DrewLandry.com goes to NC Ramblers, NorthCountryRamblers.com. And you can find links on that. I need to update all my social media. And then when this album Exiles come out, I think I'll have an opportunity to really, you know, at least be on the same playing field as everybody else. And then if my stuff is half as good as somebody else's, maybe I'll get an opportunity to play some bigger gigs. I mean, I'm just proud of the recordings we made so far, and I feel good about the people that I recorded those songs with. And we're gonna do the best we can. And if I can hang out in Montana, and keep my little job and tour in the summertime, and then maybe go back to Louisiana for a couple months in the winter, I don't think I need to be doing much else, you know?
Yeah. And you got the Dirty Cajun. So that's excellent. So you can get out there and just really get around there. That sounds great. Well, thanks for stopping by, and we'll get the word out about what you're up to.
All right, man. Much respect. I appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully you can throw a few songs in between my pontification.
Sounds good. You have a good one.
All right. Appreciate you, man. Have a great day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.